What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Life So Crazy. It's the Vongola Boss here. So on today's edition of First World Problems, we're complaining about superheroes and video games.
Oh, brother!
Safe to say that it's been a nightmare of a week for both Rocksteady and Insomniac, and a nightmare is probably an understatement. Both studios have faced heavy leaks, with Insomniac coming out the worst of the two. Insomniac was hit with a ransomware attack in which the hackers dug up all types of information and data. You know the works like gameplay, story, future projects, to the worst, grabbing up employee information. Now, leaks aren't anything new in the gaming industry, but I do feel bad for the employees whose information did get caught up in all this. But this is all stuff that came out a week ago as the hackers threatened Insomniac, claiming they would release all the information they had stolen within a week's time, demanding $2 million or the equivalent in Bitcoin. And now a week has passed and they've made good on their promise. Now, Sony may have no limits when it comes to the PlayStation, but the same can't be said when it comes to their cybersecurity. I will be breaking down some of these leaks in addition to the reaction people had to them. Despite all the information out there, I've only seen a handful of things, and I'm not really interested in diving in to see everything else they have to offer. I had already made the decision to not buy Suicide Squad, strictly off the fact that it is a live service game. But hearing this leak of what happens to Arkham Batman in this game cemented the fact that Rocksteady is dead to me.
This is how it happened. This is how the Batman died.
That's some old bullshit.
Look, I already know there's going to be some jabronis who are going to say, "What did you expect? The game is literally called Kill the Justice League." Now, maybe in my mind, I was just thinking that's going to be the objective of the game. But what are the odds this group of ragtag criminals actually managed to pull it off? But sure, Rocksteady, I'll play along, humor me. If you can actually write a competent and coherent story that sees Harley Quinn, Captain Boomerang, Deadshot, and King Shark outsmart a Justice League brainwashed by Brainiac, I'll play ball. But nope, clearly that was too much for them, which seems to be the case for a lot of writers tasked with creating superhero stories. I mean, the way Batman goes in this game is outright heinous. This game is the poster child of "our expectations for you were low, but holy..." I still don't know what events take place in the game before Harley puts a round through Batman's dome, but it better be some A1 writing. But considering the fact Sweet Baby had their hands on this project, I won't hold my breath. I've heard some spoilers of what happens at the end, and even if it's true, it's not an excuse for the spiteful disrespect on display here. And considering Rocksteady released a statement basically confirming that it's true, look, I'm still annoyed at how they did Peter in Spider-Man 2. And Batman being my favorite, well, a lot of people's favorite DC superhero, being treated this way only compounds that for me. We need to have a talk about these writers, if that's what you even want to call them, going out of their way to disrespect legacy characters. If they don't have a token replacement to outshine them, they'll find some other way to do them dirty. Because it's not about creating a good game for the fans of said character.
It's about sending a message.
Now, I can only speak for the era of gaming and entertainment in which I was actually cognizant of said industries and the world around me. So the last decade, pretty much. And while I'm sure there are plenty of bad things that released during the 2000s, when I was but a wee youth, I'm hard pressed to believe that things that came out back then were made in order to spite the fans. But they're just leaks. Wait until the game releases before you cast judgment.
Nope.
No. Offering the benefit of the doubt to these companies is a fool's errand. When you consider all the deceptive practices these gaming studios have engaged in, notable ones being false advertising and bait and switches, I understand wanting to be optimistic, but in this day and age where there's smoke, there's definitely fire. I feel it's so necessary to remind people who are defending these leaks that it's not what you do, it's how you do it. Risk-taking is an admirable trait, and following up your beloved Arkham trilogy a decade later with a game that sees the player taking control of not Superman, not Arkham Batman, or any other member of the Justice League, but rather instead the Suicide Squad, is certainly one of those. Add on to that, in that game, you have said group kill the superheroes your fans wanted to play as. And boy, if that's how they treat Batman, I'd hate to see how everybody else gets done in. Well, all except Wonder Woman, of course, because she's exempt from reasons I don't want to talk about in this video. Now, maybe I'm wrong, considering the internet was a completely different place back in 2011, but I think the death of Joker in that game, with the way it was written, I just have a hard time believing his death would receive as much scrutiny as what this Suicide Squad leak is stirring up. I'm sure there were people still upset about it, but dare I say it was well done. This Rocksteady leak is yet another harsh reminder that the game studios that created the beloved games of the past are not the ones working on these new games today. I say this with GTA 6 on the horizon. When a game studio or publisher starts telling you that the people responsible for creating the dope games you enjoyed are leaving prematurely because they need to clean house and their image that isn't socially acceptable in today's climate, just know what you should expect. Thinking of the founders of Rocksteady bouncing, the signs were always there because they didn't want to be attached to what this game was going to become, and I can't pinpoint who to blame. Whether it's Warner Bros, Sweet Baby, investors, Rocksteady's management, their writing team and development staff, life's so crazy, man. Rocksteady potentially putting out a superhero game worse than Gotham Knights was not on my bingo card for 2023, or 2024 I should say. But hey, I hope for y'all's sake this game doesn't bomb the way I think it will, cause if it does, I will be smoking on that pack. You will be missed, but your Arkham trilogy will not be forgotten. I've said my piece. Now for the rest of this Yap Fest, we're going to be talking about Insomniac and their leaks. Good old Insomniac. On 2 occasions now, I've made it very apparent my disappointment with Marvel's Spider-Man 2 and my lack of enthusiasm for their upcoming Wolverine game. One thing these leaks did is show some cracks in Insomniac's game development. And what I mean is, people already complained about Spider-Man 2 being too safe. And from what I've seen, Wolverine seems to follow that same formula, just with an X-Men skin attached to it. Now personally, I enjoy the Insomniac formula. Swinging around as Spider-Man just doesn't get old to me. Pair that up with a good story, and I'm liable to play that game 3 to 5 times while they're cooking up their next title. Assuming the story and the character depictions are up to snuff. Considering Spider-Man 2 was far from that, in fact quite the opposite, because if you're a Peter Parker fan, that game will probably piss you off. One has to wonder how Wolverine will turn out if they're just going to use the same formula. You know, Wolverine's character is pretty problematic in today's social climate. Very masculine, toxically I might add. And considering his skin color resembles the milk of magnesia.
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
I have no doubt that good old Logie boy is in for a ride, despite the fact he's built to take a real beating. I'm sure they'll find plenty of ways to make him helpless, in need of a savior, or sideline him in his own game. You really gotta give Marvel props. They are really committed to this Phase 4 plan of sidelining legacy characters in favor of more obscure ones. Fortunately, I'm not too attached to Wolverine or the X-Men, not as much as I am Spider-Man. So good luck to those that are. I think it was reported that the entire story for Wolverine has been leaked. I've seen certain mission outlines and plot details which talk about how Jean Grey is included, and Jean Grey being playable, which I think the leak showed, not sure, actually makes a lot more sense and is wholly more interesting than playing as Mary Jane Wick. But I'm sure Insomniac will find a way to make her insufferable too. And clapped, can't forget that. With all that said, it's crazy how Insomniac is basically becoming Marvel's gaming studio now. They are locked in for the next decade and some change, with their own IPs taking a back seat. I bring this up because some of those leaks detailed the corporate business side of the video game industry. And it was pretty interesting getting a look at the internal suits perspective, for lack of a better term, with licensing contracts, sales expectations, and much more. Spider-Man 3 being in 2028 makes sense, 5 years apart for these titles. That might just be a year or 2 into the PlayStation 6. And I really don't want to think that far ahead. But that's all I got for this one. Let me know what you think about this leak situation down below in the comments section. I know I touched on a few, but I really left a lot of information out. So if you're still watching this video and planning on picking these games up, stay spoiler free out there in these streets. Leave a like if you enjoyed the video and subscribe to the channel if you're new. It's been the Vongola Boss, and I'll catch y'all next time. Peace.
Damn, like crazy.